Oh, Luke, it's hotter than Hades.
Sure is, Jackson. Hotter than Hades.
That is something that I'm fairly used to people sort of politely saying, right? Because we have this notion that Christian hell and Norse hell and Greek Hades are somewhat transferable concepts between,
Yep.
but they kind of aren't.
Nope.
But in reading the Odyssey, now we're really let's talk about the book, the Odyssey, and kind of forget the movie.
Okay.
In reading, which you're glad to do. In reading the Odyssey, I was actually really struck at how similar that Greek conception of the afterlife originally seems to be to the Norse conception of the afterlife originally.
How is it? What's the Norse conception, if you want to start with that one?
So it seems that when you put someone in the ground, you are putting them in another realm that is connected in ways that we don't fully understand. The people in graves are in a sort of community we've put them into. That is hell, right? With one L in Old Norse. Now that word is related to hole. It's related to the verb hylia.
Like hole in the ground hole.
Yep. It's actually related to the seal and the Latin word that gives us conceal.
Oh.
Right? This is an old Indo-European root for hide or cover. Hell is where you're hidden away. You're covered. The dead are hidden. They're covered relative to us. And there's some means by which they communicate and move down there. So when you go to the underworld, there's not one single route there, right? When you break open a grave, you're breaking open the passage to hell. But where can you go that you can actually access the queen of hell? Well, there may be specific places where you have to do that. There's some river that you cross, right?
Really, a river too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in early conceptions, yeah. So it seems like there's kind of an earlier level and a later level here too. The notion of Valhall, where you go if you die in battle, seems to be somewhat late. There are poems that use the term Valhall for just a king's hall and not actually for an afterlife. So it may actually be that for some people this wasn't an afterlife.
And is that hall related to hell?
No, it's hall.
It's just not related
Different
at
word. Yeah, different word.
Yeah, I have a different word for sure, but not even etymologically.
I mean, hall maybe ultimately has something to do with like hiding, concealing, because it's the building in which you're hidden. But I don't think so. I think that double L is actually from a different root.
Okay, cool.
But and even when men kill each other in battle, it says that they send each other to hell. Right. Angantyr, one of the great berserker warriors, is confronted by his daughter in his grave. There's no mention of Valhall, but he says, "You are here in hell with me," and they refer to the walls of the grave as the gates of hell.
Wow.
So I think that there's something very, very similar in early Greek conception too. What's your thought?
Evidently, yeah, especially the idea that there's the river. There's in the Odyssey, there's the mentioning of a river of fire and a river of tears. So those two are specifically mentioned, if I recall, that he has to pass through both of those, and that's where he will make the sacrifice in order to eventually to talk to Tiresias.
The Norse material is a little bit messed up in some respects. For one thing, it looks like there's different levels of pagan material. It seems that some people believed in Valhall and some people didn't.
Interesting.
So for some people, everybody goes to hell, and for some people, there is an alternative.
Huh.
But then, since our materials are mostly transmitted by Christian writers, they are often understanding things through a Christian lens, or, we often forget this, a classical lens. So it may be that our material is actually more classically framed than it should be, because to them it's like, oh, I've read about pagans, and they're thinking about Greek and Roman stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so it's like this.
Yeah.
But the river Gjol, we don't know much about, right? We don't have, it's not like these Greek rivers, Lethe or Styx, where we can talk about characteristics and who's there. It's just a river that happens to apparently maybe surround hell. And it is possible that Heimdallr's horn, the Gjallar horn that he blows to announce Ragnarok, is actually the horn of Gjol. And we may be reading in an obscure stanza of Völuspá about how the waters of that river hide the horn, because the witch in that poem says she knows where Heimdall hides his hljóð, his either sound or hearing, so it may be the trumpet.
Wow. That's interesting. Well, so the classical conception of the underworld is that there's no going up. Only the gods get to, on high Olympus, live above the clouds. That's in the Odyssey. But going underneath the earth, that is the destiny of deceased people. And like you were describing, sometimes, like in the Odyssey, which we both read recently, there's descriptions of putting someone in the ground, and then that is their passage to the underworld. But there are also just as many occasions where, for example, one idiot in Odysseus's crew falls off the roof of Circe's house. They were there for a year, and they were mostly happy, and they got drunk often. And so this guy was, when Odysseus was like, all right, time to go, let's get out of here. One of them was on the roof, like, okay, boss. And instead of carefully climbing down from the roof, he just goes head first, and he falls on his head, and he dies. And his soul flies straight to Hades.
Mm-hmm.
So the soul is either separated from the body, which of course is evident to an ancient person as much as a modern one, that okay, this physical form is no longer animated. Where did they go? And so we have the conception of going down into the underworld, and so the structure in the underworld is you have Hades. Hades, by the way, like hell, if I'm remembering right, hell is the name first of the deity. Yeah.
No, it's the name of the place first.
Oh, then the deities afterwards.
Just pointing out the ground squirrel. Now they forget that, and they claim that the place is named for the person, but it's clearly the place that was named first.
Really?
And the place is the same name in, for example, Old Saxon and Old English, right? We still use that name for it in English today.
Yeah. Where did he go?
Your camera's too far left for the squirrel.
Where did he go?
Right there.
Oh, there he is. Wasn't moving.
Now, one thing I'll point out to you is you said, well, it's very natural that they assume, well, where is the soul? The thing that animates the person is gone. That strikes me as actually a pretty Mediterranean notion, because in Norse there is no discussion of the soul going somewhere the body isn't.
Really?
Yep.
So it's there with the deceased.
The body is still potentially inhabited by the same hugur, thought, mind, consciousness.
Oh, hugur, like, that's not related to thumos, is it?
No, I don't believe so. It's so you never read about his soul. Actually, that surprised me reading the Odyssey. I remember the scene you're talking about. I remember highlighting this in the Kindle. Like, oh, his soul went there. Like, that's weird, because you would never say that in Norse. You would say he went there.
Yeah.
And I think maybe there is some older level at which the Greeks could have believed something like that. I mean, there's a lot of attention to what you do with someone's body after they die.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you care that much about the ritual of what you do with the body unless you think the body still matters to the consciousness, right?
It may be evident that very ancient people definitely did not have that division, and that it could have remained in the culture and in the tradition after they started creating more or having more abstract conceptions of an underworld and a place for the souls. Because Hermes is the guy that takes the souls down into the underworld.
The psychopomp.
Right, he's a psychopomp, like Karen. Psychopompos. The psyche, the spirit, the soul, the mind, the imagination, and also butterfly. Psyche is the same word as for butterfly as for soul.
Oh, weird.
I don't know why. It's not Schmetterling, so what can I say?
Huh. It just occurred to me another bit of possible evidence that there's an earlier level at which they don't separate them is the fact that Odysseus can't physically go to Hades.
Right. You can, and Circe, after they come back, because they go back to Circe. That's surprising, because most depictions they go to Circe once and don't come back, but they come back afterwards. And then Circe is so happy to see them and greets them very warmly. Wow, Odysseus and his crew who died not once but twice.
Yeah.
Like literally that they died and came back.
Right. Folks, you'll think you've died and gone to Valhalla if you order awesome Viking replica merch or my books from grimfrost.com, my friends and partners in Karlstad, Sweden, who have been so good to me over the years. They are still covering all U.S. Import taxes and tariffs as of July 2026. Not a lot of people doing that, so check them out. Now, to come back to our topic at hand, this notion of the psychopomp versus you're physically going to hell and you're coming back from hell. The verb actually being, Cersei says die, you died twice.
This was in the translation that I listened to. I'll have to double check the text to see if she says it
And
in that wording.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because so
I
then
wouldn't be surprised though.
Is death just a journey elsewhere?
Yeah.
Sometimes Greek poets seem to make it sound like that.
They do. A catabasis, if you will, which is a down walk.
Yeah.
Just a stroll down. Kata basis, baino, to walk, to move. Kata basis.
Is hell associated with the north? I feel like maybe when they went to Hades, I'm kind of using Hades and hell interchangeably here, they went north.
Circe gives directions to get there, and I don't remember if north was involved. And I also don't remember where it is in the Aeneid.
Oh, well, but the Aeneid's a much later source.
True.
I
just wanted to throw that out there to the Romanist people who haven't yet become Philhellenes.
Because Greek is hard. Because so to the Norse, there's also often a sense that it's north.
Really?
Yeah. Go north and down is still a way of saying go to hell in some Scandinavian
Wow,
languages.
north and down.
But it alliterates in Scandinavian.
Wow.
Nor og ner.
Nor or ner?
Yeah, for example, like in Swedish today, but like in Old Norse, norður og niður.
Oh, wow.
You go north and down. Yeah.
That's neat.
I think in Sanskrit too, there's some association of the north with the dead.
Wow. So that could be quite ancient.
Yeah.
That's an idea then. Don't recall. If anyone out there knows for the classical Greek and Roman ideas, let me know in the comments. But Jackson know, he'll tell me. I mean, I'll look at the comments too, but it's,
But another thing that I think is kind of an interesting commonality, I was struck by a few times in the discussion of hell in the Odyssey that Proserpina seems to be regarded as the deity that one is dealing with there, right? We are in Proserpina's domain.
Yeah.
Right? Is there perhaps an older level at which Proserpina is more volitionally a goddess of the dead, like hell is in the Norse world? I mean, Hades. Well, what do you think the story is there? Any thoughts?
Yeah, the myth there. So Persephone, the Greek, and Proserpina, the Latin. The same deity, probably the same. It's one of those Western Greek dialects where the name is picked up by either an Etruscan or an early Latin source, and then the name is changed into the Proserpina in Latin. But in the Attic, in classical Greek, we have Persephone.
Did I say Proserpina? I might have said that.
Oh, it's a short I, so in Latin it's Proserpina instead of Proserpina in that one. But you can never tell unless you know the vowel lengths. You say however you like, sir. No problem.
But Persephone, that name is also interesting too, because Pone that's death, is killer, is bane.
Yes, it's Ponos, which is murder.
Yeah.
Poneos is a murderer.
And Perse, is that like Perse's destruction, ruin?
As I recall, I don't.
So she's basically ruin and death.
Yeah.
I think that's just that there's an older stratum here where
there's a goddess hell.
And that goddess is more volitionally involved in the dead.
That's interesting.
Maybe Hades is a later addition to this canon.
Yeah.
Hades, the man, the male.
Which is interesting because Hades, when we say Hades, at some point we lost the apostrophe, or more accurately, was never
Hades or something, right?
Yeah, because so Hades, Hades in the classical Attic pronunciation, it ends with an S, and we take that into English and we get Hades. And the way that possessives are usually done in the modern way, if you have a final S, sometimes you add apostrophe S, or you just add an apostrophe. Hades' house is how it's referred to in Greek. Oikia hadu, he tu hadu oikia, the house of the Hades, of the dude named of the god of the underworld named Hades. So the idea of calling the place after the person, that exists in antiquity too. The Greeks will just sometimes say into Hadu, into of Hades, and you understand from context it means Hades' house.
Right.
Also, if I were to go to Jackson's house or Luke's house, you could just say the preposition,
I was at Luke's.
right? You were en Lukiu or something, and
Right.
because that's the possessive, would be understood in his house. So, which is neat. So Hades ends up in the basic classical mythology, falling in love with Persephone, the daughter of Demeter, and she's, I think, described in some version of the myth playing in a meadow or something, and he steals her down. And the meadow and the flowers and the blooming is related to Demeter because when she's taken down into the underworld, Demeter, who is the goddess of everything that grows, is so upset that she does not put any of her energy into allowing things to grow, so everything dies. She eventually she searches the whole world for Persephone. When she was so distracted with the death and loss of Persephone, that's when, with the name of the guy that chopped up his son in order to feed him to Tantalus, right? Yeah, Tantalus.
I don't remember this.
It was Tantalus. Tantalus chopped up his son, fed him to the gods, and Demeter was so distracted that she ate it. Anyway, so that's all part of the story because she was upset about Persephone being lost and dead. She does eventually find her, makes a deal, I think via Zeus, if I recall. I'm not sure though, but the deal is struck with Hades that Persephone will be below the earth with Lord Hades for half of the year and the other half above the surface, which is why there are seasons. When Persephone is gone, Demeter is upset, and the living things, the plants, everything that grows dies, and then they come back in the spring.
But this is very classical.
Yes.
And I just think that her name and the way that she's talked about in the Odyssey implies that she earlier has a more sinister.
Especially with the Persephone. Yeah, that's indicative of that. Wow.
But you might have a goddess of the dead without having much of a story behind her originally. There's barely a story behind Hel. She's the daughter of Loki and Angrboda, who's she's called a Giger, like a witch or a troll or something. And that's about it. She gets thrown into hell because Odin doesn't know what else to do with her. So I actually think that the highlight of the 2026 Christopher Nolan Odyssey is the Hades scene. I thought that was exceptionally well done, and with the exception of cutting Achilles, who's cut from the movie entirely, and giving his lines, kind of apportioning them to I guess, mostly Tiresias, but also to Sinon. I thought that it was a good representation of Hel in the Odyssey. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, first I'd like to ask you, why did you like that depiction so much?
Because it was weird. Christopher Nolan is good at weird.
Yep.
I liked that you get the physical feeling of the dead, right? The dead are not, well, to me, it's more in accord with the Norse sense that these are just people who have gone somewhere else. But they're in a weird domain, and they have, powers that perhaps we don't understand now. They come out of the ground. They're still lurable by physical things like blood, right? That's very much part of the Odyssey story. And just the strange otherness of it, I thought that was well done. Iceland served as a good, weird background for that, relative to the Aegean. It would have been even weirder if they'd actually filmed the rest of it in the Aegean. But
Even if they'd found a place that was very similar in its basic silhouette, and then they filmed there before they got drawn into Hades, and then became dark and nights like it's twilight when they were filming. Looked like they were filming in those dark hours of the year.
Yeah.
In Iceland. Well, in Christopher Nolan's depiction, I also thought the scene was more than strong enough, with like the simple elements of a beach and some people coming out of the sand. It was moving and weird. I found it interesting. I was kind of riveted. Whereas in the 1997 movie, I think we have a little bit better depiction of what goes on, but it's it's special effects of 1997 for a TV movie, so it's not quite as spectacular. But you get a little bit more of just the details of what he does. The fact that he speaks mostly with Tiresias. Sinon is a character in the Aeneid, as I recall, but it doesn't occur in the Odyssey or the Iliad, which is fine. But it's it depends how much you want all those characters to line up exactly with the original text. Because most of what Sinon says in the movie is said by Tiresias, and it's done by Christopher Lee in the 1997 movie.
Oh, whoa!
Now you got to see it. Yeah.
You need to host a viewing of the 1997.
It's for free on YouTube. We could watch it without it, I assume, getting copyright stricken.
Oh, it'd probably get a copyright strike somehow.
Maybe.
But it depends on how much the makers care. I mean, they might prefer that someone was watching it. I don't know.
Yeah. So, as the one of the biggest parts of since you said all the positive things, and I echo all of those, I'll mention some of the things that I thought were missing, which was Anticlea, his mother. Anticlea is not there. Anticlea tells Odysseus about everything, basically updates him on the past several years. I'm dead, she says. I died of grief, which maybe does that mean suicide? In the 1997 film, she walks into the ocean and commits suicide, which is a way to explain the dying of grief, which is kind of vague. Though often a trope in ancient literature, dying of grief. It's like, what?
Elsewhere in the Western canon, Padme dies of a broken heart.
Yep. Wow, you're right. There are a lot of parallels of ham-fistedness and dialogue and understanding the human condition that are between George Lucas and Christopher Nolan, more than I had expected.
And Homer.
Well, but except there it works. I think it works. Anyway. I'm Homer standing, so Anticlea updates him. This was your Penelope is beset by suitors. Don't dally. Get back there as soon as you can. Also, updates him on his father, who all these things, and it's I don't know. I miss that kind of stuff when it's not in a depiction of the Odyssey.
It's a broad-tailed homeward.
Yeah, look at that.
But I still think that we need to keep in mind how strange, how unchristian, how physical the afterlife is. And it seems to me fairly probable that the Lord of the Dead, Lady of the Dead, if you will, in early Indo-European myth is probably a woman. It's probably a goddess.
Yeah.
I also think that you could draw on some Indic evidence for that, right? Kali.
Kalima.
So, anyway, other things you'd like to add about this?
I really liked how I didn't notice it until you mentioned it. The Odyssey, the mentioning of the dealing with Persephone, that's in there, to be able to deal with Persephone and not necessarily with Hades himself.
I think that's probably archaic. I think you're looking at a pre-classical stage where Persephone, I don't know why I keep saying the Latin name, is the actual Lady of the Dead.
Yeah.
Like I said, just her name tells you that she is something more to do with that than this Demeter story where she's taken out of a meadow or whatever.
Yeah.
Has
anybody thought of this before? Any classicists?
No doubt. I'm not saying anything new.
Please write your dissertations below.
Or share the dissertations that cannot fail to have been written about 5 million times. But I think it is worth pointing out. And that's most of what I do on this channel is I point you to stuff and I say, go read more. Here's some other stuff you can read. And if I do find something you can go read, I will put it in the pinned comment for you. All right. Folks, we appreciate your time, appreciate your support. And from beautiful Colorado, we're wishing you, together with Steamboat the Trojan Horse, all the best. Tears, your Greek tears.
Lots of Greek crying.
People cry so much in the Odyssey. I'm just going to break topic for a moment and say that shocked me so much because you just don't get that in Norse stories.
They're very emotive. I remember reading maybe earlier on with Latin things about Aeneas or whoever crying or weeping, and it's just like I have trouble imagining that. It took living in the Mediterranean to be like, oh, understand a little bit of these people just a little bit better now.
Hmm.
There's just more effusiveness of emotion that Northern European types culturally, certainly in the past, may not have done as much.
And I think that was transmitted to most English-speaking North Americans as a norm too.
No, yeah.
I can probably, this isn't a brag or a flex, it's just a fact. I can probably count on one hand how many times I can remember crying as an adult, right?
I am so shocked to hear that from.
What?
No, because you are the epitome of the stoic Western
Well, am I
Old
the,
Norse specialist.
am I, Stoic Western am I the epitome of that?
You are literally the epitome of the stoic Old
Oh,
Norse
wow. Okay. Well, I'm touched.
specialist of the West.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, like,
Yeah,
it was not something I was encouraged to do, right? I
right.
mean,
It's part of the culture.
but it also just doesn't come that naturally, right?
Mm.
I can get very sad, very upset.
Hmm.
Tears don't naturally really come into the picture, right?
Yeah.
So it's something I think you get kind of culturally conditioned to or away from.
Hmm. Definitely.
Anyway, the River of Tears.
Yeah, River of Tears.
The